Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and I just have to say I am already so in love with this collection. It's been sitting in my stash for 6 months, staring at me, and I'm so happy I finally have a chance to really dig into it and get it used. I mentioned in my kit share that I put off using it because I didn't really have a lot of embellishment to go with it. But I realized after I cut apart all the cut aparts that come in this collection, you really get a good selection. So I'm very happy about that. I could not wait to use this wreath paper. And so I just decided, you know what, we're going in with this one first. I got a single photo, so this could be a single photo page, and I just really had this vision of my photo tucking into these florals in the middle of this wreath. So I'm just going through and fussy cutting some of these floral bits that are going to overlap my photo, and I'm just going to tuck my picture in like a little pocket, planning on doing a couple little layery embellishments, but I really don't want to cover up the wreath portion too much because I love that part of this layout and I just think it's going so well for wedding. I was worried that some of the Western elements would kind of throw it off, but even the Western elements are really dreamy and kind of wedding romantic, and I just feel like my wedding was this kind of rustic romantic feeling anyways, and so I'm really pleased with how well this collection's actually going for my wedding pages. I kind of wish I had enough to really do more than I'll get to with this collection, because this is definitely one that I feel like I could have used for the entire wedding and not gotten tired of it. But I'm definitely saving some of my favorite pictures from the wedding to use with this collection. So this was one of my favorite ones of just me, where I'm looking down at my bouquet and you can see my grandma's rosary that I'm also holding, kind of dangling underneath the bouquet. So those are elements I definitely want to show off on this page. I'm just going to make sure when I tuck this photo into these florals that the florals are kind of framing the rosary. I definitely don't want that element covered up. So I'm just trying to figure out spatially how that'll work. I want it to nestle down into these florals without it covering up important parts of the picture. So it just took me a minute to kind of figure out how that was going to work. And now I'm going around and inking. I am pulling in the Distress Oxide in Ground Espresso, which is the one my mom just gave me for my birthday. And it's my new favorite brown, and I really feel like brown inking on all of these layouts with this collection will just be perfect. So I'm going to really try all month long to use this ink pad to ink all my layers and ephemera. I decided I did want a mat around my picture, but I did not want to cut into one of the other 12 by 12, so I just pulled in some white, inking that as well. And another thing you'll see me pull in all month long is definitely glassine bags and doilies, just because I feel like those are the perfect kind of layery bits to have on wedding layouts. So I'll pull those in a little bit too. I love that one of the cut apart sheets had frames on it. I really like both sides of the cut apart sheet, so I'm glad I have two pages so I can kind of pick from both. But the frames I feel like I'm going to end up using on every page too, because I love those and layery elements as well. So you'll see that. I'm just going to sort my cut aparts really quick into their kind of themes. So I have my floral bundles, my feathers, my little heart-shaped locks, just so I can see everything that I have. I'm going to really try to get some of the more random, more difficult embellishments. I'm really going to try to focus on one per page to get used up because I don't want this ephemera left over at the end of the month. And I figured since this is a layout with me, that those really cute little cowboy boots with the garter, the lacy garter on the one leg, I think would be perfect. So I really want to get that one on here. And I'm starting out by fussy cutting one of the frames from the other cut apart sheet as my base for that layery cluster. So if I had an X-Acto knife, I probably would have used that, but my scissors work pretty well with cutting out that middle portion of the frame. And I think this will be a really nice base for my main embellishment cluster, which is going to be within the wreath, kind of nestled against the photo. So I'm just going to start by putting together these elements. I thought it'd be really nice to use one of those pink invitation envelopes. I thought that that would be a nice contrast to the browns of the cowboy boots. So I'm just playing around with what I want to layer up. I don't want to cover up too much of the frame either because I really want you to see that detail. And now that I have kind of a cluster started there, before I glue down my picture, I really wanted to save that portion of the floral that's on the wreath of the background paper. So I will end up trying to fussy cut the portion that my picture is going to cover. So hopefully I can use that on another page. But I'm pretty happy with how it's coming together. So after I salvage this little portion here, I will start gluing stuff down. So you can just see I'm trying to figure out where my photo is laying so I know how much of this floral I can salvage. And hopefully you'll see that later this month. As of this voiceover, I've made 3 pages and I have not used this little florally section that I'm gutting. So hopefully it'll make it on a page at some point this month. But with that hole there and with me tucking my photo into this wreath, I definitely wanted a backing on this layout. So I'm just taking some of my filler paper, gluing that to the background, and now there's no exposed photo on the back of this layout from where I tucked that into the wreath. But I love this. I love how the doily kind of emphasizes the circular shape of the wreath. I really like that dainty layer going into the frame, and now it's just beefing it out with different ephemera. So I'm trying to figure out which pieces go well together. I really want you to see each of the elements, but I also want them layered and clustered so they all look connected and cohesive. And here you can see I'm remembering I need to ink everything. I'm sure there's going to be a couple things on each page I forget to ink. But I'm doing good so far. So I'm going to get all these elements inked before I glue them all down. And I'm pretty much going to lay them out how I had them. I can't remember after this part if I go on to another section of the page, but I have my whole stack of stash goodies to the side of me that you guys saw in my kit share that I'm going to try to get used up on all of these different pages. So I'll go through those and see what I can pull in. But I definitely wanted to start my base of this layout using just things from my kit. So I think I'm getting to a happy point where I'm really liking how it's looking, and I need to start looking into my stash goodies that I'm trying to use up this month to see what I can use and what I'm not. I've already put a couple things back into my stash that I really decided just was the wrong aesthetic for this collection. But there's a couple things that I've used already that I was surprised I got used up with this collection. So you'll kind of see those and I'll point them out as I get going. But you can see me shuffling to the side of my page here, going through all the goodies. And those fabric tags from Jennifer I'm so in love with. I really want to use one on this layout, but I end up not. But I get one used up on the next 2 layouts, which I'm really excited about. But you'll see me take those out because I really wanted to use one on this layout too. I know I have some chipboard hearts that are kind of a vintagey text music print. And I know I have 3 of them, so I'm really trying to fish them all out. I also love these little burlap bows. I have 3 left. And I think those are so perfect for this kind of rustic wedding layout. So I'm thinking I'll use a rustic bow in one of these clusters, and then I can only find 2 of the chipboard hearts. And so I'm thinking I'll create a visual triangle. I'll have the burlap bow in the main cluster and then the little chipboard hearts in the other 2. I know I have a 3rd chipboard heart somewhere, so I end up finding it in the middle of doing my next layout, and I go back and add it onto this page. So you'll see that at the end of the month when I do my layout share. Because I knew I had 3 of them, but I love that because it creates a visual triangle with these chipboard hearts, which I think is really sweet. Here you can see me trying to use one of those fabric tags from Jennifer. I really liked this darker brown one. I think it played off the cowboy boots really well. But I think it added too much. I really like how your eye goes to the cowboy boot in that cluster. And I kind of felt like once I added this dark brown fabric tag, I loved the texture it added, but it kind of took away from the visual part of that area. I really like that the interest is the wreath on this page, and even though you have this cluster next to the photo, it's not commanding your attention. I kind of felt like when I added that dark brown tag, your eye went straight to it and it wasn't really the important part of the page I wanted you to focus on. So I kind of pulled back. I knew I would get that tag used up this month, and I already have. You'll see it in the next couple layouts, but I figured this is the first layout of the month. I don't have to throw everything at it. So I kind of pulled back and go into a couple other things, but I am really happy with the things I got used up on this layout from my stash. So I got those 3 chipboard hearts. There's the second one I just found. I won't find the third one until after this layout is done, but I think those go really well. I'm thinking about using this little clock at the top here as my focal point for that cluster. And I definitely want something in the lower left-hand corner to be a focal point to create that visual triangle with 3 different clusters. So I'm just trying to figure out here what I want to do at the top. I tucked in that glassine bag. I pulled in a sticker from the Fancy That sticker sheet that I've been hoarding that said the bride. So I thought that was appropriate because this is a picture of me and I was the bride. But I'm just trying to complete this little cluster. I had a glassine bag up there. Now I have this clock, one of those little chipboard hearts. I think that's looking cute. I kind of want some color up there because I have the brown and the pink in this other cluster. But there's not really a pink element I have next to me that I want to include up there at this point. So I think I'm looking now at my third cluster at the bottom, and this goes through a couple different cycles, but there's this sweet little suitcase that I thought would be perfect as a cluster, but I was really having problems figuring out what to cluster on this suitcase without covering up completely. So I ended up changing gears and switching to this little easel and layering a couple things on that, and I really like that instead. So I have this little easel, a floral cluster. I think I pull in one of the little heart locks and I'll also pull in that other chipboard heart into that cluster too. So I'm just trying to ink everything before I glue it down on the Fancy That sticker sheet that I got the bride sticker from. There's also one in gray that says all dressed up. And there are some gray hues on this layout, so I thought that would be a sweet thing to include as well. So I did add that sticker sheet down, or that word sticker down there. And now that I'm kind of happy with my clusters, I really wanted to emphasize some gold. I want really pops of gold on all of the layouts this month. And there's no metallic in this collection, which I like because I can kind of add it where I want it. And I decided to do something a little different with my Heidi Swapp Color Shine. Instead of splattering it, which I'll go back and splatter too, but I decided to kind of messily doodle streaks with this gold around the edge of the wreath just to emphasize the wreath shape. And I think it looks so dreamy. It turned out so good. I was trying not to be too neat about it. And just kind of do these wisps of gold around the wreath. And I'm so in love with how that turned out. And then now that I've added gold, I knew I wanted my title in gold, and I knew I wanted some gold in each of my embellishment clusters. I love these Fitzgerald gold glittery thickers. I think they're probably my favorite gold glitter thicker are these Fitzgerald ones. But even though I have 2 packs of them, I don't have a ton of wedding type words I can do. There's no E's. There's a lot of vowels that are missing. So I went to my trusty dusty favorite website for finding titles on dead alpha sheets, litscape.com, and I typed in all my letters and had to go through most of the list before I finally got down to union. And that was the most wedding themed type word on the entire list that I thought could go. So I was like, well, it's a wedding, which is a union. So I really want these gold thickers to be my title. That's what I'm going to use. So I decided to do union and add the year, which was 2021. We actually just had our first anniversary yesterday as I'm voiceovering it. It was really nice. We went back to the restaurant where we had our reception, and Marcus got me flowers, and we ordered a mini version of our wedding cake for dessert. So it was great. But I just thought that I should have the date down there, and then I wanted more of a title than that, so I went back to the Fancy That sticker sheet, and there were also little tile letters on there that I had not used yet. So I just did perfect. You can see me inking around the edges of all those tiles. So it says Perfect Union 21, and then I'm going to go through and add some of the ampersands and the periods into each of the other clusters. So there's gold in each of the clusters. So that's pretty much it on this one. I'm obsessed with how it turned out. I love it so much. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.